I never thought I'd be the kind of person posting something like this, but here we are. A couple of months ago, life felt normal. My wife, Emily, and I had been together for over a decade. We had 2 kids, a house we were slowly renovating, and a social circle that revolved around our friends and work. Everything had its rhythm, boring but comfortable. My best friend, Mark, had been in my life since college. We were inseparable, the kind of friends who could spend an entire weekend doing nothing and still feel connected. He was funny, smart, charming, and, in retrospect, manipulative in a way I didn't notice. I trusted him with everything, my secrets, my doubts, even financial advice. He was practically part of the family. Emily liked him, and the kids adored him. Looking back now, I can see little things I should have noticed. Comments that seemed like jokes, hints of envy when I got promoted, or when Emily achieved something big. I brushed them off. I wanted to believe in the loyalty of a friend who had been in my life for 20 years. Mark started coming around more often after Emily and I had the second kid. At first, it was innocent. He helped with the baby, offered to watch the older one, even brought over dinners. I thought it was generosity, a friend stepping in. But then, little things started nagging at me. He'd make comments like, "Wow, you're really living the dream, huh?" Or "I don't know why she loves you so much." At the time, I laughed them off, told myself he was just joking. He was always around, showing up when I least expected it. Sometimes he'd linger in ways that felt slightly off, too interested in conversations with Emily, too quick to criticize me subtly, or to one-up me about work or life. I didn't want to see it. I couldn't imagine that my best friend, the guy I practically considered my brother, could be harboring resentment, jealousy, or something darker. I kept telling myself, it's paranoia. You've known him forever. Trust him. Looking back, those little cracks were warnings I chose to ignore. The first real crack came on a random Thursday night. I was working late in the home office when I heard a ping from my phone. A message from Mark. I assumed it was harmless. He often texted about work or random memes, but this one made my stomach drop. It said, "Sometimes I wonder what it would be like if I had your life. You don't even notice how lucky you are to have her." I stared at it, rereading it 3 times. My first thought was, he's joking, right? But the tone felt off, sharp, almost resentful. I tried to brush it off, deleting the message, telling myself I was overthinking it. But the seed of doubt had been planted. The next few days, I started noticing small things: Emily brushing off some of his comments, him showing up unexpectedly, lingering in ways that felt too deliberate. I wanted to trust him, but a tiny voice in my head whispered, he's not just jealous. He's planning something. It got worse over the next few weeks. I started noticing things I couldn't ignore. Mark would make jokes about my marriage in front of Emily, little comments like, "She'd be way happier with someone who actually appreciates her," or, "You don't deserve her." At first, Emily laughed them off, but I could see her stiffen sometimes, like she was uncomfortable. My stomach would twist every time he said something like that. I found myself checking my phone obsessively, reading texts between him and Emily that were innocent on the surface but carried a strange intimacy, a familiarity that made me uneasy. I felt paranoid, guilty even. Was I imagining things? Was I projecting? I kept asking myself if I was overreacting, but every instinct screamed that something was wrong. The worst part was that I didn't want to confront him. I didn't want to break our friendship or, worse, cast suspicion on Emily without proof. So I stayed quiet, quietly spiraling, feeling like a fool for trusting them both so completely. I remember the night clearly. I was home alone, trying to focus on work, when Emily's phone buzzed. She left it on the counter while grabbing a drink, and I looked. I know, it was wrong. But something inside me couldn't stop myself. There were messages from Mark, not just flirty, but calculating. Lines like, "I've always wanted what you have. I'll make sure it's mine someday," and, "She's too good for him, I should be the one by her side." My heart sank. My hands were shaking, my chest tight. I wanted to throw the phone across the room, scream, cry, anything to make it stop. I confronted Emily that night. My voice was shaky, barely more than a whisper. She froze, guilt flashing across her face, but didn't deny it. And then, Mark's name came up. He admitted he'd been jealous for years, that he'd wanted to take over everything I had. I felt like someone had ripped me open. I felt like my world had exploded. My chest ached, my hands trembled, and for a moment, I couldn't even speak. I kept repeating in my head, no, no, this can't be real. This isn't happening. Emily tried to explain, tried to tell me it was a mistake, that it didn't mean anything yet, but the words were empty. Every syllable burned. I thought of the years I'd trusted Mark, the vacations we'd shared, the family dinners where he laughed with my kids like he was one of us. All of it felt tainted, like a lie I'd been living inside. Rage, betrayal, and grief all collided inside me. I wanted to scream at Mark, throw things, make them feel the chaos they'd caused. But mostly, I just curled up, stunned, staring at nothing, feeling the ground shift beneath me. Sleep didn't come that night. I lay awake, imagining what had actually happened, questioning everyone, questioning myself, feeling the walls of my life crumbling. I called Mark the next morning, my hands shaking so badly I had to grip the phone with both of them. I don't even remember what I said at first, just a mix of rage, disbelief, and pleading. Why? How could you do this? I finally managed. He laughed. Not a little laugh, but that smug, chilling kind that made my stomach drop. Jealousy doesn't just disappear, he said. I've wanted what you have for years. You never noticed, did you? And now, it's my turn. I tried to reason, to appeal to the years we'd shared. We were like brothers. You loved my family. He shrugged, as if that meant nothing. He didn't even try to hide it. He told me he'd been planning for months, testing boundaries with Emily, seeing how far he could go. His calmness, his certainty, made my head spin. I wanted to hit him, scream, run. I didn't even know what was left of our friendship. After that call, everything felt unreal. Emily and I stopped talking like normal people. I couldn't look at her without seeing Mark in my mind. Every smile, every casual touch, it felt like a lie. I wanted to scream, to cry, to beg her to remember what we had, but instead, I just withdrew. Sleep became impossible. Every creak of the house, every notification, made my heart pound. I replayed every conversation, every joke, every dinner with Mark, wondering when it had all started. I felt both guilty and betrayed, guilty that I hadn't noticed sooner, betrayed that the people I loved most could do this to me. Even our kids noticed the tension. Emily tried to act normal, but her eyes betrayed her. I kept thinking, how do I protect them from this? How do I protect myself? I felt powerless, like the foundations of my life were cracking, and no one, not even my wife, was standing on my side anymore. Life became mechanical. I went through the motions, work, kids, bills, but nothing felt real. I couldn't trust Emily anymore, couldn't trust Mark, and worst of all, I started doubting myself. Every decision, every interaction, I questioned. Was I missing something else? Was there more I didn't know? Emily tried to explain, to apologize, to reassure me, but the damage was too deep. Even ordinary things, sharing meals, watching TV together, attending school events, felt strained. I avoided Mark completely, but knowing he was still in our lives, that he could show up at any time, made me hyperaware, anxious, and resentful. Trust shattered. Every friend, every casual interaction, felt suspect. I had to rebuild boundaries, but I didn't know where to start. The kids were caught in the middle, sensing the tension, asking questions I couldn't fully answer. My reputation, my sense of stability, my mental health, all of it eroded day by day. I finally confronted Emily alone, trying to make sense of it all. My voice was raw, trembling with anger and exhaustion. How could you let this happen? With him? My best friend. I demanded. She broke down crying, her explanations messy, her voice pleading. She said she didn't know how it escalated, that Mark pushed boundaries, that she didn't mean for it to happen, that she loved me but was confused. I wanted to scream. I wanted to believe her, but every word felt like poison. At one point, she accused me of pushing her away, making her vulnerable. If you'd noticed sooner, none of this would have happened, she said. I froze, stunned. Her words twisted reality, making me question everything, my trust, my judgment, my role in our unraveling. I wanted to leave, to disappear, but I couldn't. I was trapped in this emotional limbo. Angry, heartbroken, and utterly powerless as my marriage's foundations crumbled before my eyes. Inside my head, it was chaos. Part of me wanted to rage, to burn everything to the ground, to make Mark and Emily feel the way I felt. Another part of me wanted to beg, to hold onto what little remained of our life, desperate not to lose the family I loved. I oscillated between fury and heartbreak every hour. Guilt gnawed at me too, guilt for not noticing sooner, guilt for feeling powerless, guilt for even doubting Emily before the proof. I loved her, still do in ways I can't explain, but every act of love now felt poisoned by betrayal. I wondered if I'd ever trust anyone again, if I could ever feel safe in my own home. Fear sat heavy in my chest. Fear of losing my kids, of losing my life as I knew it, of Mark's presence lurking in the background, reminding me how easily trust could be weaponized. I was trapped in grief and rage, unable to find solid ground. Everything became a battlefield. Even mornings felt tense, getting the kids ready for school, making breakfast, pretending nothing had happened while my mind replayed Mark's smug face and Emily's guilty silence. I stopped enjoying simple things. Work felt meaningless. Sleep was a stranger. My thoughts kept looping. What else don't I know? How far did it go? Parenting became a careful act of shielding the kids from chaos while struggling to manage my own emotions. I smiled at them, tucked them in, answered their questions, but inside I was hollow. I feared that my anger or despair would seep through, that they'd feel the cracks in our home. I tried therapy briefly, but every session seemed to circle back to the same unbearable truths. The betrayal wasn't just a wound, it was a constant weight pressing on me. Trust felt impossible, intimacy terrifying, and I realized I might never feel safe in my own life again. The fallout spread beyond the house. Friends took sides, awkwardly avoiding me, or whispering behind my back. Some couldn't believe Mark could do something like this, others questioned Emily's choices. Family gatherings became tense exercises in politeness, where I had to smile while my chest ached. Even casual conversations felt loaded, every laugh suspicious. I lost trust in more than just them. Colleagues, neighbors, even old acquaintances suddenly felt like strangers. I stopped confiding in anyone, afraid my pain would be judged or misunderstood. My reputation, once stable, even respected, now felt fragile. People whispered about the fallout at parties, at work, at school events. Even Mark remained a shadow. I saw him occasionally in public, always smiling that infuriating grin, reminding me that he hadn't paid the price. It was a constant, low-level terror, like knowing someone held a knife over your shoulder. Every relationship I had was tainted by doubt now. I didn't know how to be normal, how to trust, or how to exist in a world that felt so fragile. In the end, Emily and I didn't divorce immediately, but we drifted. Living under the same roof became unbearable. We talked through logistics, co-parenting, bills, but not like a couple. Love was still there, but trust was gone, like a shattered mirror that reflected only fragments of what used to be. Mark was cut out completely. No calls, no texts, no visits. I blocked him everywhere, changed routines, and rebuilt boundaries, but the fear he instilled lingered. Every time I caught a memory of him, a photo, a joke, a familiar laugh, I felt a pang of anxiety that never fully went away. I tried to forgive Emily, partly for my own sanity, partly for the kids. But forgiveness didn't bring back what we had. It was a quiet acknowledgement. The life we built together existed, but it was no longer ours in the same way. We became co-parents, roommates in grief, haunted by the betrayal that tore through our family. Even now, years later, the memory of what happened still hits me in waves. I can laugh, I can work, I can parent, but the shadow of betrayal is always there. I still wonder how someone so close could turn into a threat, how trust can be weaponized, and how love can coexist with deceit. I've learned a few things the hard way. Pay attention to the little cracks. Don't ignore your instincts. And maybe the hardest lesson. Sometimes people you love the most can hurt you the deepest, not out of malice alone, but out of envy, selfishness, or a hunger you can't comprehend. I don't advise revenge, it consumes you more than it does them. Instead, rebuild slowly. Protect yourself. And understand that some relationships, no matter how precious, aren't meant to survive betrayal. I write this here because it helps to release it, to confess the rawness of it all. And maybe, if someone reads this, they'll recognize the warning signs before it's too late.